Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are presented by TickPick and Fansided with the Los Angeles Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies having a series upcoming. Little bit of a NLCS rematch if you can go back to 2008, 2009. Doing things different today on the Incline. I'm a big rock music guy, as some of you guys may know, go to a lot of concerts, and I'm excited, honored to have the drummer from Grayscale, who I highly recommend to check out. I saw them last year at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles. They knocked it out of the park. Big fan of their stuff. They just dropped an album earlier this year, their fourth studio album, The Hart. Listened to it the second it came out. Big fan of that as well. We're joined by drummer Nick Veno. Nick, how's it going? Welcome.
I'm good, man. Thanks for the kind words. I'm excited to be here today.
So I got a heads up, and for those that don't know, Grayscale is Philadelphia based. So we've got a big Philadelphia fan. I'm sure you were stoked that the Eagles won the Super Bowl last month. That probably was awesome for you guys.
Yeah, we were very excited. I have a curveball baseball pun here to throw at you. So I'm actually we are a Philly-based band, but I myself am actually an Arizona Diamondbacks fan, which makes things a little more complicated between us being in the same division.
Okay, so just to get things straight, you're not a Phillies fan. You're a D-backs only.
Yeah, I'll pull for the Phillies when they're not playing Arizona, but yeah, Arizona has been my team since I was about 8 or 9 years old. When they beat the Yankees in the 2001 World Series, that was what did it for me.
All right, well, let's get into that then. So, new season, clean slate, Arizona Diamondbacks, pretty aggressive this offseason, signed Corbin Burns.
Yep.
They got a pretty strong lineup as well. Corbin Carroll, obviously your star player, probably the face of the franchise now. Zach
hmm
Gallen, contract year. Merrill Kelly, solid middle of the rotation guy. And you got a pretty deep bullpen too. AJ Puck, who they acquired last deadline, I believe. Overall, going into the season, how you feeling about Arizona? How do you guys like your chances in terms of competing and kind of like the outlook of this upcoming year for them?
Yeah, man, it's the best roster I think they've put together since I've been like following the team. I have to say, I thought they were going to make a push for the best starting rotation in baseball, but the Dodgers just are relentless. And between Otani, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and the new guy, Sasaki, right? It's like they are so deep, and I'm so sick of losing to the Dodgers every single year. But I do like their chances. It's a great roster. They're fun to watch. I love the Corbin Carroll, like he's so fun, like just being so quick. They're just like a little like speedy, athletic, kind of scrappy team. They're cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think back to 2023 regular season, they were exactly what you described. One of the most aggressive and fastest on the base paths. If anyone got aboard, chances are they were going to successfully steal a base. And then, so they had like a pretty hot first half, and then they kind of flattened out. But then the playoffs, they kicked it into the next gear again. Clearly, boat racing my Dodgers. They knocked us out in the NLDS in a clean sweep. Then they
Yep.
got to the World Series. I know they came up short, but I'm sure based off the expectations going into that season, seeing them in the 2023 World Series had to have been exciting.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome, and it was a good series against Texas too. It's cool to see them, a team like Texas, like win it all. But it was definitely a special run for Arizona to get all the way there. We'll see if they can do it again. I think they've got a window now of the next handful of years to really make a push. I feel like Los Angeles is just going to be the juggernaut that they have to figure out how to get past every year. But it should be a really interesting the next few years. That division especially super competitive.
Absolutely. It looks like the Dodgers and Diamondbacks schedule kind of they meet each other a lot in the month of May. They've got a 4-game series starting May 8th in Arizona.
Hmm.
Then they come to Los Angeles, Arizona, that is. They meet May 19th through the 21st. So that'll be 7 games of head-to-head action between the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. And even though it's only the month of May, um, being that I feel like they're the 2 top teams in the division this season, it will have some impact in terms of season outlook. Like if Arizona goes 7-0, that would drastically improve their chances to win the
Yeah.
division. If they split or go 4-3, kind of lean the Dodgers there. I'm expecting the Dodgers to win over 100 games. I don't know if Arizona has that firepower, but I've been saying on this show the last month or so as we get into this 2025 season, I find Arizona the biggest threat in the National League to the Dodgers right now.
Yeah. I would love if Arizona went 7-0 against the Dodgers in May. Not sure how likely that is, but it'll be a fun series to watch regardless. I mean, there's so much star power on the field for both of those teams. It's they're going to be 2 of the best. And honestly, the Phillies too. I mean, the 3 of them are, got to be top
Yep.
contenders in the National League this year. So it's yeah, quite the trifecta between the 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm high on the Phillies as well. Probably rank them 3rd right now in the National League, although they could
Yeah.
they could finish with the second best record. I definitely see that. They have a firepower of a lineup, pretty good pitching staff that's close to on par with what the Dodgers throw out there. So, yeah, Phillies big threat as well. So with 2001, of course, being the biggest year in Arizona Diamondbacks history. I'm sure growing up watching Randy Johnson meant a lot to you. Luis Gonzalez. Who were
Mhm.
some of your favorite Arizona Diamondbacks throughout your life?
Yeah, those are definitely 2 of the big ones. Paul Goldschmidt, probably a more recent. Well, actually, he's been on St. Louis for the last, like, 6 or 7 years now, and I think he's on the Yankees, which
Hmm.
hurts so bad to see. But definitely Goldschmidt during, like, the 2010s. Um, yeah, Kurt Schilling from that World Series team. I mean, yeah, those would probably like my top 4, and then, like, guys that are on the team now, Corbin Carroll, like you mentioned, definitely is one of my favorites. Zach Gallen, Ketel Marte. Like, they really do have a lot of exciting guys on the roster right now, so, there's a lot to pick from, but I think if I had to pick one, Randy Johnson would be my all-time favorite.
I've said
Yeah.
it a lot of times with baseball friends and online with people I talk to. Randy Johnson, in my book, is the greatest free agent signing of all time. Well, maybe Otani is going to take that book, but up
Yeah.
until that point, prior to Otani, Randy Johnson, 35 years old when he signed with Arizona. He was a very late bloomer, won 4 consecutive Cy Young awards during the span of that contract.
Yeah.
2001 World Series, of course. Um, Over 300 career wins, over almost 5,000 career strikeouts. He's up there
Yeah.
with Kershaw. It's really hard. I guess it would depend who you ask, but those are the 2 greatest left-handed pitchers of all time, if you were to ask me. And I feel like that's got to be the general consensus overall. Randy Johnson, Clayton Kershaw, however you want to spin it, the 2
Yeah.
greatest lefties ever.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would make that same exact argument. Totally agree. Who's your favorite Dodger of all time? Obviously, a lot more history, like a way more to pick from. But do you have any
Hmm.
that come to mind yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the chalk answer is Kershaw for
Yeah,
obvious reasons. Especially in his prime, getting to watch Kershaw every given start was just a spectacle, and there was just something special, and you felt like he could do something that no one else could do when he goes out there. Oftentimes, especially kind of earlier in his peak prime, like 2012 to 2014, the Dodgers didn't have the firepower offense. They didn't spend all the money like they do now. So they had a lot of more scrappy, middle of the road guys in their lineup. So you saw a lot of outings where Kershaw didn't get any run support, and
yeah,
we were lucky if he got the win if the Dodgers posted 1 or 2 runs. Other guys that I really enjoyed watching, though, when he defected to Arizona, that really killed me, but I was a big Zach Greinke fan. I
Mm,
thought he was a masterful pitcher. The guy had one of the
yeah.
best changeups I've ever seen. And then when he went to Arizona, that stung. But I love Zach Greinke.
Mhm.
Going a little bit more back in time, Sean Green, big Sean Green
Okay.
fan, as
Yeah.
is my co-host Jake Reiner. We love Sean Green. Another guy that he got traded to Arizona. I know he was kind of at the tail end of his career, so you probably didn't have the same perspective with Sean Green,
Yeah.
but he was awesome for Los Angeles.
Damn.
And then really, really recent, but someone I pushed for and was glad they got him, Mookie Betts, one of the
Oh,
greatest
yeah.
players I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
Not the same equivalence, but almost in the next tier. The Red Sox trading Mookie Betts, I thought was one of the most foolish trades you could ever do. Not Babe Ruth like, obviously, but that next tier
Yeah.
below, like you should do everything in your power to keep a guy
Yeah.
like Mookie Betts. And he's come to
Dude.
Los Angeles and 2 titles now.
Well, and what a crazy start this year for him, right? He was, like, really sick with some unknown illness, right, like, a few weeks
Mhm.
ago, and then I saw last night he hit 2 out of the park, so he seems to be back in full, you know,
Yeah.
like, full season shapes, like, it's crazy. He's just such an all-around athlete, though. I'm totally with you. That was a I don't know what they were thinking in that Boston front office, but it was a great pickup for the Dodgers.
Yeah, you mentioned the 2 home runs, including the second one being a 3-run walk-off home run, so that was epic. Game 4 for the Dodgers already with walk-off home runs, so
Yeah.
special moment right there. Love Mookie, all-around guy. Um, what are your general thoughts on Chase Field? Do you like the ballpark? Is it kind of middle of the road for you? Do you wish they would build a new stadium? I went there. I've been there a few times, but most recently I went there during the World Baseball Classic of 2023. I would rank it kind of average. I think they could use some upgrades there.
Yeah, I mean, if I lived in Arizona, I would probably be there every single game. Um, so they have to stay in that ballpark at least until I can get a seat in the outfield pool. I want to do that at least once. Um, but it is crazy to think that that stadium is probably like 30-ish years old almost, right? I think the
Mhm.
D-backs came in 97 or 98. So um, I've been there a few times. I usually try to go like once a year to make it to a game out there. We have a pretty hefty touring schedule this year, so not sure if we'll get there this year, but I do think it's a nice ballpark, you know. Probably like you're saying, like maybe average or above average compared with the rest of the league, but yeah, I know that there was like talks of them moving to uh like Las Vegas a few years ago. If you remember that, it was very brief. But I don't know what their plans are for like renovating the stadium or moving or building a new one. Um, yeah, not totally sure.
Mhm. Well, you mentioned touring, so let's talk about that. You're going to Australia in what, a week? It's like,
We leave tomorrow morning,
oh, you leave
so
tomorrow morning. Okay, so you
very
got to pack
soon.
your bags and all that. So long
Yeah.
flight too. So wish you
Oh,
guys the best of
dude.
luck with that. I've never been to Australia. I don't know if you've been.
Nope. First time for all of us. So that yeah, that 18-hour flight is gonna be a first time for all of us. So we'll see. I got like an ass cushion so that my butt doesn't just like we don't land and I can't walk, you know. So I'm hoping the seat cushion helps. Um, and I hope I can sleep for at least a little bit, but that's a long time to be on an airplane. So I'm a little
Definitely.
intimidated.
So you do that, then you hopefully get a short little break. Then you do
Mhm,
another US tour. You guys are supporting Mayday Parade, who I've seen once. Um, Love them. They're really good. Fun band live as well. And from what I gather, they're celebrating basically 20 years of being a band. So they'll probably play a collection of their hits throughout the
mhm,
years. And you guys are one of the opening acts. And you guys are going to probably support. This is probably your big support for that album I mentioned that you dropped pretty recently, the Hart. Which again,
mhm.
I recommend everyone check out the Hart. Um, do you guys have a relationship with Mayday Parade? Is it going to be your first time meeting them? Kind of how did all that get together?
Yeah, we've done a few. We've never done a full tour with them, but we played a few one-off shows in the past. So we did Sad Summer Festival, uh, 2001, I want to say, and I think they were on for one or two shows on that tour. They weren't on the whole run, but we had a couple shows with them then, and then we did some winter holiday shows with them in New Jersey a little while back. Um, but yeah, they're just great guys. Like Derek is like the nicest guy I've ever met. So we're really excited to be supporting them on this. This is a huge tour for them, like you said. So we're really fortunate and thankful to be on with them for this one.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule as well. The closest show to me, clearly because I'm in Los Angeles, so I saw they're playing the House of Blues, Anaheim, and it looked like you guys sold it out as well. So
Mhm.
congratulations, sold out show, House of Blues, Anaheim.
Yeah.
I got to go to the House of Blues for the first time not even that long ago. I think it was November. I saw State Champs. They were
Cool.
headlining the venue. That was my first time seeing them. Another band I kind of like a lot. And the reason, or I should say, how I got into your guys' band, Grayscale. So I'm a big pop punk guy. I could talk about pop punk music for days straight because I just love the genre so much.
Mhm.
Um, you've got all the bands from my young youthhood, the 2000s, 2003 to 2006 was like a stretch of just pop punk music that I don't know if we'll ever get again. But the My Chemical Romances, Blink 182, Green Day, All
Mhm.
American Rejects, list goes on and on. And then I decided kind of in the last 2-3 years, like let's get into like this next wave, and you guys were one of the bands that kind of fit that mold. So I want to say it was, I don't want to butcher the name, Not Afraid to Die. Yeah, Not Afraid to
Mm.
Die was a song that really hooked me. I thought that was such a well done song. um, and then when you guys dropped the Heart, the full album, um, Dance with Your Ghost was one of the tracks that really stood out to me. Are there any particular tracks on the most recent album you guys dropped that you really like, especially?
Yeah. I think Not Afraid to Die is definitely, like, amongst the bands, a general favorite. I also love, I think it was the second single technically, but Mum 2, way, way slower, like, uh, you know, kinda song, but, that's a special one for sure that we're really proud of. And then, I don't know. It's tough. I feel like it changes a lot, but right now, "Talking in My Sleep" is another personal favorite. Um, and then I guess "Through the Landslide" would be the other one, which we should be playing. I think we're playing all of those minus "Mum" on that Mayday Parade tour. So um, it's exciting, and I'm like ready to be playing these new songs.
Hmm.
Uh, we finally so we put the record out in January, and we were rolling out singles like all last year. Um, so we've been sitting on a lot of these songs for like a couple years and not haven't really played any of them out. So this is really like the start of the Heart era. Um, and yeah, it's like any whenever you put out a new record, it's like you're always most excited to play those songs. So that's kind of where we're at now.
That's awesome. Were there any bands in particular that kind of helped influence the sound of the Heart, or like any motivation that, because you mentioned that this was kind of a multi-year process, so
Mhm.
I'm sure that presented some challenges, but at the same time maybe helped you guys because you could take your time.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of the big ones would be The Killers and Bruce Springsteen. Um, I think those are two of the main influences just across the entire record. But like you said, it's when you're working on something for that long, as a collective, as a band, and also individually, your tastes sort of evolve over time. So, what I personally might have been listening to when we first started writing some of these songs might be totally different from what I've was listening to when we were actually tracking in the studio and finalizing things, So there's a whole spectrum. I think Arctic Monkeys are another one that we all kind of take inspiration from. But it's that like Heartland rock kind of sound. Yeah, I don't know. And then me personally, like I've always loved the 90s like grunge alternative rock bands, like Smashing Pumpkins, Radiohead, Soundgarden, like all those bands are like what I grew up really digging and playing along to in the basement. So those are always an influence for me personally to some degree. But
All legends, some of my
yeah.
favorites as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arctic Monkeys and Soundgarden up there, top. Both of them are in my top 20 without a doubt. They're just both
Yeah.
tremendous. Is there any band in particular you guys dream about playing with or opening for?
We get asked that a lot. Like I don't it's tough because like I mentioned, the Killers or Arctic Monkeys would be awesome. But they're massive bands. So I don't,
Yeah.
you know, if we're throwing like what's realistic kind of out the window, I would say any of those bands we listed would be cool. Sam Fender, if you're familiar with his stuff, he would be awesome to play with. Fontaines, DC. Um, yeah, I would say all those would be fun to play with.
Fontaines DC, I have to give them kind of the crown. They're one of the top bands right now that is putting
Yeah,
out new music. They're sensational. Very they're very smart. Shout out to them.
yeah,
But going back to your guys' band, Grayscale, I would love to see you guys get a lot of radio airplay. I don't know how any of that works, to be honest, anymore. I feel like the big industries probably control all that, but I would love for Alt 98.7 and K Rock to give you guys some play because I feel like you guys really do fit like the alternative and pop punk sound that is so in line with a lot of the other bands that they play. So
cool, man. Thank you.
that's what I'm pulling for with you guys. I don't know what's down the pipeline. I'm sure with the tour's coming up, maybe near end year, you guys are going to take a break and reset, and then evaluate what's next.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's a pretty big touring year for us. So we've got some stuff. We're planning sort of the back half of the year now. Planning to be on the road for most of the fall and winter as well. So it'll be a great year for growth and playing in front of a lot of new listeners. So we'll see. With the radio stuff would be awesome. That's sort of out of our control, but that's the goal, right? So hopefully someday, we end up on K Rock or something cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any other sports takes you want to throw out there? Basketball, football, baseball, before we get on out of here?
I'm pretty much just baseball. Um, I would love to see the D-backs and Dodgers face off in the playoffs. I know the season just started; we're a long ways away, but I think it's a great rivalry, and they're both really, really strong rosters, like we said. So I'm excited for that series in May, or those couple series once we get there. So. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have any hot takes. Obviously, I want the Diamondbacks to win it all this year. I'd love to see them go back to the World Series. But one step at a time. We'll see.
Yes, we will see. Now that the Dodgers got their World Series, we want
Yeah.
one more, and we want one more, and then maybe it can be the Diamondbacks' time. So someone's got to take that Yankees throne of being repeat champions.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, as long as it's not the Yankees, we'll be just fine.
All right, well, Nick, appreciate you coming on. Like I said, they're hitting the road with Mayday Parade, so check them out. We have listeners all across the nation, so check them out, and I highly recommend. They're tremendous performers live. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for
Awesome.
joining the Incline.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.